we have been seeing some tensions between the mullahs and the IRGC. We already know that the Islamic Republic is moving from a theocracy to a military dictatorship. We have had a multi-year slow coup of the boots against the turbans. But I want to show you what this actually looks like, based on the infighting that we're seeing and the signs that we're seeing that this is escalating inside Iran, right? So we have some statements recently from Kamran Ghazanfari, member of parliament within the Islamic Republic, Sabiti, another member of parliament within the Islamic Republic, Hamid Rasai, another member of parliament in the Islamic Republic. Mojtaba Khamenei came up with a statement that shows exactly like a lot of what is happening. Vahidi and Jafari are basically also uniting with each other against Ghalibaf, which is important. We got new signs of that. And we basically, based on everything I'm seeing, the summary of it is that Ghalibaf, which is the head of parliament within the Islamic Republic, is backing the Paydari, which is the office of the supreme leadership, against the IRGC. That's what I think is happening, and the Paydari camp is being left out, and the Paydari camp is also trying to challenge the supreme leadership, right? So the supreme leadership is feeling that it's being attacked. So it's interesting because most of the world thinks that everything within the Islamic Republic is now trying to follow the supreme leader. But I think the supreme leadership is being surrounded by both IRGC and the Paydari camp. They're being attacked from all sides, right? So here are the signs of it. Kamran Ghazanfari, member of parliament, recently came out and made a statement against Pezeshkian, so accusing him of being intentionally doing things that killed Ali Khamenei, and also intentionally creating the situation for killing Mojtaba Khamenei, Pezeshkian being the president. Kamran Ghazanfari is not an important person, but the reason why this video was important was because this video was posted by the IRGC, and that means that this was also IRGC's position, right? We already discussed that the pretending that the internet coming back on was because of Pezeshkian's order, had the purpose behind that was to make it seem like Pezeshkian actually has authority, so that they could blame him for what's about to happen. For the Islamic Republic is trying to be more flexible with the Americans so that they could maybe get to a deal. And Pezeshkian is being used as a way to get blamed instead of the supreme leadership or IRGC or anyone else, right? So turning the internet back on in Iran had multiple purposes. One of the purposes, as we discussed, was that there are many IRGC held companies that rely on the internet. There are segments of IRGC that benefit financially when the internet is cut, because they sell internet at sell the VPNs, that the white SIM cards at a very high price, so they benefit. But there are other parts of IRGC that their portfolio is getting hurt, so that's financial. Another reason is the internet being back on provides the ability for the pro-regime people to unite. Right now, there's too much infighting, and that's the main fear of the Supreme Leadership Office. And that's why he's now openly coming out and asking for unity, basically making it obvious that there is division. So it has become too obvious to deny anymore, and that's why he's calling for unity. And turning the internet back on and having the anti-regime people speaking provides the unity that they need, because right now the Americans and Israelis are not attacking them, and the Iranian people who are anti-regime, their voices have been completely silenced. So given that you don't have the Iranian people attacking the regime and you don't have the Americans and Israelis attacking the regime, you end up attacking each other instead, and that's causing division. So turning the internet back on is a good way to have an external enemy so that they could basically get more united. But another purpose for turning the internet back on is to demonstrate Pezeshkian has authority, and this is like a democracy. And at the end of the day, people voted for Pezeshkian. We know all of those votes are fake, but basically, so that when they eventually maybe give Americans some of the things that they want, they say, well, the supreme leader doesn't make all the decisions. It was Pezeshkian. So that video by Karman Ghazanfari blaming Pezeshkian for killing Ali and Mojtaba Khamenei is basically reminding people that Pezeshkian is a Zionist spy, and he is basically he's forcing us to bend the knee to the Americans, and don't blame the supreme leader, blame Pezeshkian. The supreme leader has to accept what Pezeshkian is saying because the people voted for Pezeshkian. And then this is the time that I predict that they might actually come and remind the pro-regime Iranians that Imam Ali, the first Imam of Shia Muslims, also accepted the will of the people and didn't rule, because he would only rule when the people want him to rule. So there's that. Then there is Sabati, another member of parliament that recently came out and said that this is not a dictatorship. The supreme leader is not, the Shah was a dictator. Mujtaba, the supreme leader in Iran, is not a dictator. He's not going to make all the decisions. It's the will of the people. And this is double speak because he's basically saying two different things to two different audiences, right? It's very interesting that he does a Sabati, which is a Paydari member of a Paydari camp and a member of parliament. When he said that, he was basically trying to say, if the if we do end up bending the knee to the Americans, or if we do a deal that is not, that is basically us being flexible to the Americans, don't blame the supreme leader, blame the Pezeshkian, because Pezeshkian, which is the will of the people who have voted for him, is his fault. So he didn't say that, but that's what he meant. So this message by Sabati is both a defense of the supreme leader, defense of Mujtaba, and at the same time an attack on Mujtaba. This is why how this message was so clever. It was a defense of Mujtaba and an attack on Mujtaba. It was, if you are a pro-regime person that is loyal to the supreme leader, you would hear this as a defense of the supreme leader, saying that it's not his fault, it's other people's fault. If you're a pro-regime person that is getting frustrated with the supreme leader, you would hear the exact opposite message. You would hear that Sabati is telling you that by the people, he doesn't mean all the Iranian people. He doesn't. So for the people who are pro-regime, who are really still loyal to Mujtaba, the people means all the fucking idiots who voted for Pezeshkian. But if you're a pro-regime person that is extra durka, extra jihadi, and are frustrated with the supreme leader because he's being flexible with the Americans, then what you hear by the word people, it means the pro-regime Iranians. And when Sabati was saying that Mushtaba doesn't make the decisions, this is the people do make the decision, it means us extra jihadi, pro-regime Iranians, we get to make the decisions. We have to force our way. We don't have to wait for Mushtaba's decision. So that was an attack on Mushtaba and a defense on Mushtaba at the same time. Then we had things escalating significantly when Hamid Rasai, another member of parliament that belongs to the Paydari camp, came out, and this is the most direct attack on the supreme leader. He came out with a message saying that this is how you could tell somebody is worthy of being a leader. Then he posted a verse from the Quran where Noah was upset that one of his sons was drowned because he didn't get on the ship. God told Noah, don't be sad. That fucker was not your son because his behavior was not good. So even if he was your son by blood, he was not really your son because he wasn't a good person. He wasn't behaving very well. So basically, then Rasai used that Quranic verse to say, like, bloodline is not important. Just because you're someone's son, that doesn't mean that you're worthy of being a leader. And your values and what you stand for and whether you stand for the truth, that makes you a good person, not whose son you are. So everybody, including pro-regime people, are like, holy shit, he's obviously talking about Mujtaba. And he came out and later and denied that this was about Mujtaba. But how the fuck could this not be about Mujtaba? He was literally saying this is how you could say somebody is worthy of leader, being a leader, and then he talked about somebody being someone else's son, like not really being their son, even if they're by blood their son, because of their shitty behavior. And yeah, thank you, Danny. Put the Quranic verse in the chat. So this is obvious escalation against the supreme leader, which shows that everything that we have been predicting here, okay, is coming true. We have been talking about this for 5 fucking years, and it's all now coming out in the open. By the way, I told you, people didn't believe me that when I said the extra Durka people, the extra jihadi people are anti-Khamenei, and we're like, what are you talking about? Like, the more religious, the more jihadi you get, you become more pro-Khamenei. I'm like, no, that's not true. And now you're seeing it out in the open. The Paydari camp actively attacking Ali Khamenei, right? So there's that. And then we also got news that Vahidi is now getting closer to Jafari. Jafari was basically the previous commander of IRGC, who was considered to be a genius military strategist. He's the one responsible for the mosaic structure of the IRGC. He has been sidelined for a while he was sidelined by Ali Khamenei. He was also an enemy. He has always been an enemy of Ghalibaf. He exposed Ghalibaf for his financial corruption. But now Vahidi is like, so um, Jafari, as Ali mentioned yesterday, Ali actually figured this out. I didn't know this. This is a part that Ali actually went and showed to me, which was really impressive that he figured this out. So Jafari has a lot more respect among IRGC old timers, and now Vahidi is bringing him back, which is basically a threat against Ghalibaf because Jafari is against Ghalibaf. So this is showing that IRGC is now taking more stronger position against Ghalibaf. And I have a suspicion. Here's another important point is that the supreme leader came out recently. Actually, when was this? This was 2 days ago. I mean, when I say the supreme leader, just think about the institution of the supreme leadership. We don't know what the hell Mojtaba is, if he's alive or not. But the Mojtaba is not a person anymore. Mojtaba is an institution, the institution of the supreme leadership. So every time I say Mojtaba said this or that, just keep that in mind. We're talking about the institution of the Beit Rahbari, the supreme leadership. So other than saying that you should stop infighting, and whether you're infighting, whether your disagreements are justified or unjustified, you need to cut it out. That's what Mushtaba said in his statement. But he also, in his statement, fully endorsed Ghalibaf, okay, which is really annoying to pro-regime people who have been calling out Ghalibaf as betraying the Islamic Republic because he's talking to the Americans and meeting with them. The most pro-regime Iranians are frustrated with the negotiations. They're like, let's go fuck these Americans and Israelis up. Why are we negotiating? We're winning. They were cursing Ghalibaf. They were cursing Ghalibaf in the streets. And now Mushtaba is coming up fully endorsing Ghalibaf. And so basically completely abandoning that more hardline position that the people who are in the streets are having. Why would Khamenei take that risk in fully endorsing Ghalibaf, knowing that that's going to make so many pro-regime people doubt his supreme leadership? Because Ghalibaf is so we have to basically figure out who does Mojtaba Khamenei fear more, okay? Because obviously we know here that the regime fears its own supporters more than the Americans and Israelis, and even more than the vast majority of the Iranian people who are anti-regime. Okay, so the regime fears its own followers more than anyone else, because if they turn against the regime, it's over for the regime. But now we have a more even nuanced question, right? So you guys already at a very high nuanced level of understanding when you know that the regime, among the three fears of the Islamic Republic, the external pressure by the Americans and Israelis, the internal pressure of the anti-regime Iranians, none of these two is as big of a threat as the pro-regime Iranians turning against the regime. You know that, but now the more nuanced version is like, okay, among pro-regime Iranians, which one does the Supreme Leadership Office fear more, IRGC or the people in the streets? The average people in the streets who want maximum response, maximum aggression, maximum Islam, maximum no negotiation, no flexibility to the Americans and Israelis. Are those the people that the Islamic Republic wants to keep satisfied, uh, and fears that they turn against the Islamic Republic, or is it IRGC? Okay, so now we have that answer. It's IRGC, because by endorsing Ghalibaf like this, it means that the supreme leadership is uniting with Ghalibaf to protect the supreme leadership against the IRGC, right? And so you can see that Mojtaba Khamenei is endorsing Ghalibaf, but Vahidi, the head of IRGC, is getting closer to Jafari, which is the enemy of Ghalibaf. So now we can see where the lines are being drawn. Mojtaba and Ghalibaf on one side, Vahidi and Jafari on the other side, meaning that the Paydari camp is now considered not as big of a threat to the supreme leadership as IRGC, because by getting out closer to Ghalibaf, they're pissing off the people in the streets and the Paydari camp, meaning that they're willing to pay that price to have a stronger position against the IRGC. That's what we could learn from this alignment right now, right? And I'm even hearing from the pro-regime people in the streets and on their Telegram accounts and their comments on YouTube and everywhere else, that they're now more aggressively than before starting to say, is Mojtaba even alive? Because they can't believe that he would say something like that. Like, are you guys messing with us? He's actually endorsing Ghalibaf. Is he dead? Actually, like, show us Mojtaba. So there's now more demands to show us Mojtaba, like the Schrodinger's supreme leader. Like, is he actually alive? Like, show something, right? So those demands are now increasing. And yeah, this is the state of the situation right now. Let me know, guys, in the YouTube chat and also on the school chat. Let me know if this was too complicated or was it detailed enough. Do you guys like it? Was this helpful, educational? Because this is a level of detail that you're not going to get anywhere else, and I'm pretty sure Sketch is going to give us the Walmart American version of it pretty soon for anybody who wasn't following. But let me know if you like this level of detail. And I haven't seen anywhere else going to this level of detail. So let me know. Yeah. Oh, Texas Trip is saying super helpful. Okay. So who are the people who want to respond?
Yeah, I was just I was partly not following because I was stunlocked by reading the Quran verse about how Allah told Noah that he's not your son anymore. And then he told him, how dare you question me about things you don't know? And Noah was like, oh, I'm sorry for questioning you about things I don't know. It's really messed up and people should check it out. Okay. For responses, Jonathan had a question. If the supreme leadership is attacked from all sides, could that eventually lead to a renewed uprising?
If the supreme leader, okay, so I call it a double uprising. Okay, this is what the Islamic Republic is trying to avoid, right? We are already going to have an uprising by the Iranian people who are anti-regime. Okay, so that is the main uprising that we're waiting for, and that has nothing to do with the internal fight between these people, because the anti-regime Iranians are basically fuck all you all to all of them, right? They don't care if you're part of the supreme leadership, part of the IRGC, part of the Paydari camp, part of the Ghalibaf camp. They are basically fuck every single, just go die, all of you. I don't care which version of Durka you are, just go die. So that's the position of the anti-regime Iranians, this internal division. They enjoy watching them turn against each other, but they don't really, like, from their perspective, they're all the fucking same, right? But we might get another uprising in addition to the secular uprising of the Iranian people against the regime. We might also get a smaller but also very devastating Islamic uprising by these people against the regime. And that is what the Islamic Republic is fearing, because they think that if we get the Iranian people, when they come out and do uprising against us, we know what the response is. We just shoot. We just point into the crowd and shoot. That we know how to respond to that. But they don't know how to respond when their own people start an uprising, and they have threatened an uprising. They have said that they have said you should be more afraid of us because we're not afraid to die, right? Say they say that you shouldn't. They have actually said this. The pro-regime Iranians have threatened the regime by saying, when you see our uprising, you will see what an uprising actually looks like, because those people are life lovers, and they use this word as an insult. They say those people, those libs, those secular godless libs, they are life lovers. So they are weak because they're life lovers. We are death lovers. We do not mind dying, and we will come out wearing our shrouds, like our white shrouds. We will come and wear white because we will basically be wearing what people wear when they put in the grave. We will be ready to die, and that's what we will be wearing when we come out. So you should be afraid of us. And the regime is like, what the fuck do I do if that happens? Like, how do I deal with that? If I kill them as well, then like, and this is why some pro-regime Iranians have been wondering if the militias from Iraq, Pakistan, and Afghanistan have been brought into Iran for them, because they are bringing different kinds of armed forces inside Iran to suppress us, not those secular, godless, liberal Iranians. They're bringing this to suppress us. So yeah, that's the answer. So yes, it might encourage a second uprising.
Okay, next sketch.
Okay, I'm going to try to break this down. I'm going to take from your idea, you Star Wars. Okay, so we killed Palpatine in the Death Star, right? We blew it up, right? So there's no more Palpatine. And you have these Sith priests, and they're trying to say, okay, we got to get extra hardcore, and we got to fight these people, and we got to have some revenge, right? Okay, but the military remnant, they're not so keen on starting a new war now that they lost so many assets. They kind of want to regroup and rearm and maybe, have a little bit of a tenuous peace while they betray later, right? But the thing is, they have this fake Palpatine called Snoke, right? He's kind of weak. He's kind of fucked up. He looks like he's been through some stuff, right? So, and you know what? It is. He's just a clone. He's like a cardboard bad copy. They're trying to prop up Snoke like he's this big deal. And the Sith priests are like, that's no fucking Palpatine. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but that guy's not hardcore. We are gonna get hardcore. I'm gonna read you our fucking passages. Peace is a lie. There's only passion. Through passion, I gain nukes. Through nukes, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall set me free. We got to be forceful. We got to go hardcore. And they're reading out the Sith code. And the military is saying, hey, you may have the Sith code, but we got all the guns. So you guys better get in line. So there's internal struggle between these admirals, right? And the priesthood, right? And they have old drama too that they're working out. So that's kind of what's going on. And what's going on is the admiralty and the military is seeing, like, you've seen the people, you've seen these rebels, you've seen these Coruscant people kind of rebel. You haven't seen a rebellion. You think those rebels that bombed that Death Star are hardcore? You have not seen a Sith uprising. When you see a Sith uprising, oh my God, you don't even want to know. We'll blow ourselves up. You can't blow us up. Oh, you can't blow me up. I'm gonna self-embalm. Before I go out, so they don't even gotta embalm me when I die. I'm gonna go hardcore and I'm gonna blow up on you. I'm just gonna jump on you, hug you, and blow up. So you don't want to know. You don't want to know the mess you're gonna get yourself in if I go out there. So that's kind of like the double uprising, because these military folks are kind of like playing footsie with the Rebel Alliance and maybe a New Republic, because I mean they just threw Palpatine down a shaft, right? Palpatine just died. The Death Star just exploded, and they just brought up this new Snoke guy. And Snoke, he's not up to the par. He looks like shit. If you look at Snoke, you can't even look at him. They don't even show him around. They maybe talk to him, and we don't even know if this Snoke is just like a projection. We don't know if he's real. Like, that's why we call them the Ayatollah auto pen, because we don't know if he's real or an auto pen. We don't know if he's alive, if he's in a coma. It's a lot like Biden. So that's kind of the situation that's going on with the Sith, the Imperial remnant, and the possible civil war between them.
That's great. That's perfect.
Amazing analogy.
Amazing, amazing.
Okay, and Jim is next to respond.
I gotta say, there's a hilarious analogy, man. Priceless for that. Kudos. Armin, I actually wanted to ask you about this figure because I remember you mentioning him a while back. With all of this chaos going on, who would be, as Sketch likes to say in Star Wars, the kind of Grand Vizier? Almost think it'd be Hossein Taeb. I was more curious about his role in all of this right now as it spirals out.
Ooh, that's a very good question. Is Hossein Taeb is basically I think, okay, so if Vahidi is if Vahidi's right hand man is Jafari right now, and maybe actually the main puppet master behind the scenes in the IRGC, because Vahidi is not as knowledgeable and respected and connected as him. The version of that in the Beta Rapari in the Office of the Supreme Leadership would be Taeb, right? So Jafari to Vahidi is Taeb to Mojtaba. Does that make sense what I'm saying? He's the he's the guy behind the scenes with all the connections and all the leverages and all the information and the respect that is required to actually be, active, like be operationally active and basically pull the levers where he needs to and make the right moves. Like Mojtaba is like, does that even answer your question? What was your question again? Like exactly, like I don't even know if I
addressed. His role in all of this, and being my gut opinion, probably at least that since we haven't seen from Mojtaba physically, nor have we heard any audio recordings of any public statements he's made, I'm almost wondering if Taeb is really keeping his image or namesake alive and speaking and directing things really himself through the image of Mojtaba. That, like I said, I could be way off in my theory on that, but I was just curious what you thought about it.
I a while ago I suggested that I wouldn't be surprised if actually Taeb is the real in technically operationally the real supreme leader right now. That's how far I went, right? And remember, like Taeb was also he has been a key member of the Beta Rapari, the Office of the Supreme Leadership, but he was also the head of intelligence in IRGC.
Yes,
right?
I was just about to mention that. Yeah,
right.
Definitely. What was it, like 10, 20 years? It was a long time.
Yes, and exactly. So that means that when they fired him from that job, they welcomed him back in the Beta Rapari, right? And but he didn't lose. So and also he was also responsible for, this guy is responsible for basically taking out Khamenei's main competition, right? Rafsanjani, like all of the most powerful people within the Islamic Republic that were killed and made Ali Khamenei's position within the Islamic Republic so high. This is the guy that did that, right? So you can imagine how influential he is, how he has the connections and the intelligence. Because even if they removed him from the IRGC's heads of intelligence, he obviously maintained all of those connections. Like that's not something you could undo just because of removing the title. Remember, in the Islamic Republic, the titles are not as important to the leverages and the connections that you have, right? So he obviously maintained all of those connections, and he's gathered all the information that he needs, and he has always been, so Taeb and Mojtaba go way back, right? They're from the Habib circle. During the Iran-Iraq war, both of them were in war, like they served in the military in IRGC against the Iraqi forces, and they were both part of the Habib battalion. And so after the war, they both created this thing called the Habib Circle, and the two of them were the founders of it, right? And that Habib Circle includes a whole bunch of people within the Islamic Republic who are very loyal to each other, and basically treat each other like brothers and stuff, right? So Mojtaba has been very involved in politics when his father was supreme leader, and he was in charge of basically removing all a lot of the people that needed to be removed, and he did all of that through Taeb. right? So if Mojtaba is the supreme leader, who do you think he's using right now to basically do everything he wants to do? Obviously, it would be Taeb. So that's why I think that Taeb is right now actively the real supreme leader.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And yeah, when leadership isn't usually clear, like in a king or an imperial sense, you then go to the next guy down, which would be their grand vizier, their guy who usually directs intelligence. So I figured that
Right.
was probably going on. At a different time, I'm actually going to explore this topic a little more because Taib and the rest of what you're talking about really seems to be like the true deep state, the true esoteric inner secret society or inner organ of the Islamic Republic itself. It's all
Right.
fascinating.
And Jim,
Yeah.
remember, it's not just about what Taeb's ability, it's also about the trust that Mojtaba has for Taeb. Like, Mojtaba doesn't trust anybody as much as he trusts Taeb. So there's also that.
Yeah, for sure. Just wanted to say that. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Thank you. Great question.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.